Well, let's continue with our guest, and the next one is very, very easy to present because he has a presentation. He has an animation that presents himself. So I have simply to push play here, and this is.
So, in 2016, I challenged myself to design a poster every day. And since then, I finished the first year and I decided to challenge myself to do another year. And I finished the second year. I didn't have time to change the typography on that, but I'm doing a third year. There are 771 posters in total. Ooh. Sorry about that. So, my name is Vasjen Katro. I'm a visual designer, and I'm the guy behind the Baugasm project. And sometimes designers call me an artist, artists call me a designer. I just like to make stuff. I'm just doing whatever I'm passionate about. I come from Korcha, Albania. Any Albanians here in the room? No? Okay. So I'm going to tell you a little bit of a story of how I started on graphic design. So when I was 13, 14 years old, I was really passionate about electronic music, techno, tech house, especially German electronic music. And by that, I was just producing music, and then I got this contract with a German label that they wanted me to publish my EP. Like I made an album, and they proposed like an artwork for it. And back then, I was playing around with photography and manipulating some photos and like just going around and doing some simple things with Photoshop. And I just did a new artwork for my album, and they loved it. And they kept asking me to do for other artists as well. And I was like, oh, maybe I can do this on the side. This could be something that I could do parallel to music. And that's what happened. Like I grew together with music and design sometime. And then came a moment that just design took over. So how and why posters? Well, I mean, I stopped doing more music, but I still was going out, and I had friends back home that were a lot into electronic music, organizing events, and I was all the time sort of helping them on the side and designing posters for them, and always try to use posters. These are some of the early posters back then in Tirana. So why now? Why making posters now? Well, like 6 years ago, I challenged myself. I said, I just got out of university and challenged myself to create a poster every day for like 60 days. And I failed on the day 40. And the reason why I failed is because I was just posting these posters on my own personal website. So most of the people who were seeing this were friends and family and people who I were just directing them there. And this is one of the things that always stuck with me, and I was like, maybe it was not the right medium, was not like the right place where I was sharing these designs. And then I decided to share them on Instagram. Why Instagram? And I have my personal account on Instagram, which I'm really passionate about photography, and I'm sharing photos there all the time. But then I wanted to share more design work on Instagram because I love the community. I love how people interact with you on Instagram more than other websites, like design-related websites, like Behance, Dribble, and so on. And because I was just posting photography on my Instagram, I was like, I need a new account. I need like a new place where I can just share design. And I didn't want to share design work for clients because you already could see that on other platforms or on my portfolio. And I was like, I'm going to open a new account just for me to do something just for this. And that's what I did. And started designing posters and just challenge myself to do this for a year, not for 60 days, and do it actually, make it public so people would know and call me out if I was missing one day. So a side note to the whole story is like find the right medium. For me, it was Instagram. Like, I mean, the same project 6, 7 years ago failed because I was just posting it on my own personal website and nobody cared about it. But like the motivation you get from going public and also like going on a social media where a lot of people see your work and you make it public to all of them, it's like a pressure for you in order to make it work. And side note is find the right medium. I mean, for me it was Instagram, for somebody else might be SoundCloud, for somebody else might be used to be MySpace or whatever. Like, so I'm just going to show you a few of my favorite posters. The colors of the projector are not that great for my work, but you can see more of all of these on under Baugasm on Instagram. Oh, whoa, whoa, whoa! This has a delay. Sorry. So what I'm going to talk today basically is not just what I'm doing, is what I learned while doing this as a project. Because challenging yourself to do something every day, actually the best part of all of it is you learn so many things. And there are 10 things that I think I put all together in, like, I could choose from many things that I learned and that I think are the most interesting ones. And for some of you here, there might be, most of you probably graphic designers, photographers. I hope this is like more an inspiration on seeing that challenging yourself helps you a lot learn new things. And one of the things that I learned while doing this as a project is push software to its limits. And what I mean by that is I have this pegboard on my studio where are all these tools. And then there is this toolbar here, which is Photoshop. Basically, both of them are the same. Like, each of these tools does something, and each of those tools does something. But mixing them all together, you're always going to come up with something unique, in a way. And that's what I was thinking about software in the same time. I was like, okay, I have to make something every day. I have to come up with something unique almost every day. How can I include things on my workflow that I can come up with unique solutions? And that's what I did. Like, there is a liquify effect in Photoshop that mostly is designed and produced for photographers to retouch portraits and so on. And I was like, how can I use that as a tool just for design? And I was just generating textures, and some of these posters are done using liquify effect. But pushing software to its limits helped me create and generate new things that probably wouldn't, if I wouldn't be doing this as a project, but like find small things on software that are meant for something else and use that and see what you can do on your own niche and on your own style. The other thing that I learned was Cinema 4D. I was always using Cinema 4D as an amateur, something like a cool tool I could play around with, something that I need, and every time I would go to Cinema 4D each 6 months and also watch a tutorial, learn how to do a specific thing about it, and then forget about it. Every time I would go back to it, I was like, I have to watch a tutorial to see how I did last thing 6 months ago. But because I was using Photoshop and Illustrator and some other software to create something every day, I was like, what if I introduce new software to my tool set and see what I can do with it? And that's what I did. Doing something every day, I always was going to Cinema 4D and sort of playing around with it and seeing what I can come up with. And basically using Cinema 4D for graphic design and not for just 3D and animations and what maybe the software was intended to be in the beginning. So by doing it every day and working on Cinema 4D every day sort of helped me understand the tool and also get better at it. I'm not saying I'm a specialist at it, I'm still an amateur, but it helped me learn some stuff. And the other thing is get your hands dirty. This is what I learned, is like combining everything together. So I started with playing with acrylic ink and photographing the acrylic ink and then moving that to Photoshop and moving that to Illustrator and then moving that to Cinema 4D and combining this all together. You're always going to have so many tools, so many variables and things that you can come up with and options. And this is like all these 3 things that I mentioned until now, they all go so well together because you mix all of them together, you're always going to come up with something new. And that's what I learned. And then I was like, okay, I'm making all these posters. Most of them live on digitally. I was not printing all of them. And I was like, okay, some of the posters, most of them are shared on social media, and what if I just animate them and see what I can play around with? There I had options to introduce new programs and new options for me to play around with something new that I hadn't tried before. So that's what I did. I started um, animating some of the posters. Other And then the other thing I learned is like, okay, you have to do work, freelance work, and your personal life, and at the same time do something every day for almost 3 years now. And I mean, I learned how to better manage my time. It's difficult. It's still difficult, but the whole concept, and it's very easy. You just do it. I know it's difficult, but it's also easy. And that's the cool part about it. It's like I'm gonna do this thing today. It's the same like I'm gonna go to the gym today, even though I haven't practiced that a lot. But for me, it's like playing video games. This is something that I really enjoy. And if you enjoy what you're doing, it really matters on if you want to do it or not. So this is what I tell to young graphic designers who always ask me like, how do you do it? It's like if you stay until 6 a.m. in the morning practicing and learning new things, that's the passion you need for later on to get something back. You don't need money. You don't need wealth to do what you do. It's like that happiness you get by just designing. This is the same happiness you get from playing video games. This is my video game, doing these posters almost every day. So I learned to manage my time better on like waking up and just maybe starting playing around with a poster, continue with freelance work, and maybe go back to it and just change it during the day and then until I'm happy with it. The other thing I learned is there is no finish line. Like because I'm doing something every day, I could play around with it for hours and hours and hours and hours, but then you are like, okay, I have to get it out there. I have to post it. I mean, for client work, maybe I have a month of a deadline that I can work on it and I can manage and change and add more things to the final work. But posting it every day, it's so challenging because you have just to put it out there. So for me, there is no finish line. I could play all night and all days with it, but then I learned that you have just to draw that finish line and say, okay, this is good enough. I'm happy with it. I'm just gonna post it there. I don't care what people say and if they like it. It's just for me. I'm doing this project just for me. And the other thing I learned is that if you're doing it every day, you're gonna get better with time. You're just gonna improve, and because you do it every day, the next day you're going to be, okay, today I'm going to do a better poster than the one I did yesterday because I saw what I did bad yesterday and I'm going to try to learn something new or like motivate myself to get a better poster every day as you go. So these are some of the first poster I was just playing around in early days, and then you can see the difference. It's like more work put into it and more detail, and the style has changed and evolved, and like playing around with so many different techniques helps you sort of improve. And the other thing that I learned is consistency is key. Sort of been through that while I'm explaining everything, but like consistency is something that you always hear people saying, consistency is key, read it on books. But actually, if you really try it, you, it's true. Everything they tell you is true. So those ducks, by the way, are the days that I didn't post at midnight, but I posted like at 5 a.m. because I was waiting for a render to finish, and those are the cheat days. But being consistent not only helps you be good with your personal ethics on how you work, but also helps you improve and learn new software, new technologies, and so on. And the other thing that I learned is people will copy your work. In the beginning, because I was making also tutorials and classes and sharing them, and I was seeing a lot of people sort of replicating my work, and I didn't know how to handle that. I was new to that. And I was like, what should I do about this? And then I was like, this is cool. I'll just get over it. Like, people are doing this because they get inspired from you, and I'm getting inspired from them. And and then I had also the idea that I haven't done yet, but maybe I will do this. I will copy the copy that they did of my work and start like a new project about that. But after I finish the third year. So there are 11,000 hashtags posted on Instagram with Baugasm, and only 700 of them are my posters. The other ones are people who have seen my tutorials, followed my classes, and inspired by my work and posted them there. And if you can see, all of these sort of resonate to my work and have the hashtag, but none of those are my work. The other thing that I learned is connect with other creatives. By being on Instagram and by having this community, not only of just professionals, but also other people who really love design and maybe just amateur and passionate about design, connecting with them, with other creatives, like helps you a lot. I've met so many friends through this journey that I would never have done otherwise. And I have a good friend here, Magos, is another great designer, and we met just because of Baugasm, and we met just because of, we just made a lot of friends today and all these days being here. So by doing this as a project, it's like just made me meet so many cool people. And then you all might be wondering, why Baugasm? Well, I mean, you all know Bauhaus, I'm inspired from that, and you all got this, I guess, like, right? Mind-blowing. But the cool thing about the name, though, is that if you search Baugasm, nothing appeared. It was nothing, no meaning, everything. And now if you search Baugasm, it's just my work. So then, why teaching? While I was doing the posters every day, I was just, sort of sharing stories on Instagram on how I'm doing the process of doing the posters. And a lot of people were like, why don't you make full-length tutorials on showing us how you make this stuff? Because we are curious how you generate all these design styles and this unique stuff. And I said, okay, I'm going to try it and post something on Skillshare. I was using Skillshare back then to learn more about photography and like video, because I'm into that as well. And I was like, oh, maybe I can use this as a platform. But I didn't know that that would be great. There are 60,000 students following my classes. Let me put that in perspective. For a real teacher teaching at a university, maybe it's going to take 2 lifetimes to teach that many students. And for me, it took me 1 year. And that's the crazy part about the internet, and something that wouldn't happen otherwise if internet wouldn't exist. And there are 1.6 million minutes watched on Skillshare, and over 1,000 projects submitted from students watching my classes. Any of my people who have watched my classes and tutorials here? None? Okay, cool. You should go and check it out. So by hustle, doing all this stuff because I'm passionate and I love doing this, good things are going to come after. Like, I started getting approached by bigger clients, and like they wanted me to integrate my work into their projects. And one of them was Coca-Cola and Adobe. They were doing something for 2020 Olympics. And they asked me, can you just create one circle, and we need one design, and you can start from that and inspire other designers to create something. And I was like, okay, but one circle, that's it? I can do that right now and send it to you. And they were like, yeah, that's what we need. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna think about it. And I did 16 different designs for every day of the Olympics, because that was the challenge. I wanted, in every project, I want to challenge myself to learn something of it. I'm not just doing it because for the sake of doing it. And that's what I did. This is a little video. So the cool part about this project was that they wanted me just to make one thing, and they also got other, like 20 other designers to create one circle, and they will start with these designers in order to inspire other young creatives to create more on top of these projects. And when they published this on their website, there were like 20 designs from other designers, and then were like almost like 10 or 12 that they chose from my designs. So it was like almost the whole page was filled with my designs and other designers, and I was like, this worked out so well, because it's like I gave them more than they asked for, but they also used more than they wanted to. And the side note to that is like, give clients more what they ask for. You always and challenge yourself to do it. And then, like, after doing other work with other clients, and one thing that once in lifetime probably to me as a designer I would never thought would have came as an opportunity. Adobe contacts me again and it's like, what do you think if you wanna have a interview with you and post it on Adobe Create about your work? And I was like, oh my God, Adobe knows more of my work. They want an interview. And they were like, next day I get another email and they're like, what do you think if you want to do Adobe Illustrator 2018 splash screen together with Oritour, with another great designer, and collab together and do this? And I'm like, is this real? Like every designer in 2016, when they open the program, they're going to see this image? I'm like, yes. And they were like, this is our budget. I'm like, I don't care about the budget. I won't do it. When we start? And that's what I did. And this is a little video behind that. Thank you. Well, that's it. So after doing this as a project, it was just fun for me. I just did it for myself. I didn't care what I was doing. I already had clients working on UI and UX and designing applications, and this was just a side thing for me. And after that, I had the possibility of working with so many cool clients and doing so many cool projects. And the cool part about this project is like, I can do what I'm doing, and I have the brief, but the brief is based on my work. And what I'm doing is like, just keep doing what I do every day, but actually I'm doing it for clients and getting paid for it, but also they give me space so I can like, challenge myself and explore other things that otherwise I wouldn't. And there is no change without challenge, and I'm going to leave you with that, because for me that works, and that's something that I would suggest to everybody who wants to challenge themselves and learn something, especially every day. Thank you very much, and if you want to talk to me, don't be shy. I'll be around. Yeah. Thank you.